My greetings to everyone. In the ongoing series of emotional intelligence, today we are talking on the measurement, and in this part of my series we will be talking on the approaches. Measuring the emotional intelligence requires a very comprehensive approach to assess its multi-dimensional nature accurately. Emotional intelligence impacts the various aspects of personal and professional life, including the decision making, conflict resolution, leadership, and collaboration. This makes its measurement very essential for the personal development, team dynamics, and organizational success. The first we are going to talk on is the self-regulated questionnaires, which are amongst the most commonly used techniques to assess the emotional intelligence. Now, the self-reported questionnaires are psychometric instruments that assesses an individual perception of their emotional and interpersonal abilities. Now, they typically involve a set of standardized items or the statements which the participants respond to based on their personal experiences and reflect on their own feelings. This method aligns with the subjective nature of emotional intelligence, as the emotional skills are often experienced internally and evaluated through self-awareness. These questionnaires are based on the theoretical framework of emotional intelligence like Bar 1 Emotional and Social Intelligence Model 1997, Goldman Model 1995, Seloway and the Mere Ability Model 1990. The primary objective of self-reported questionnaires is to promote the self-awareness, identify your own strengths and the weaknesses, and foundation for the personal development. It also serves as a diagnostic tool in educational workplace or the therapeutic settings. Self-reported questionnaires follow a structured format that ensures the consistency and also the reliability. The questionnaire is designed based on the validated emotional intelligence model. Each item targets a very specific dimensions of EI, that is empathy and self-regulation. The response scale, most self-report questionnaire use a Likert scale which allows the participants to rate their agreement with the statements. Like for example, from strongly disagree to strongly agree on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 signifies the most disagreement and 5 strongly shows the agreement. 1 is not all true to 7 which is always true. The sample statements, that is, I recognize when I am feeling stressed. I find it very easy to empathize with others, stay calm in the difficult situations. Then the scores are calculated on the predetermined benchmarks, that is in a category of high, moderate and low. The composite scores may also be provided to represent the overall emotional intelligence, and the results are analyzed to identify the patterns and the trends in emotional abilities. The reports often include the actionable insights and the recommendations for the development. Let's take an example here. One of the most widely used self-report EI tool is the Emotional Quotient Inventory, developed by the Ruin Baon. It measures the 5 core dimensions of emotional intelligence, each comprising of the several sub-skills. These dimensions provide a comprehensive view of emotional and the social functioning. Out of this, the first we will discuss is the intrapersonal skills. That is the self-awareness, ability to recognize and understand one's own emotions. Let's talk about the different approaches here. Assertiveness, self-regard, independence. So, when you talk about assertiveness, it is about expressing the emotions and thoughts very confidently. That is, you are assertive about the things. Self-regard, that is positive self-image and self-respect. Then is about independence, making decisions autonomously. Then we have the interpersonal skills, that is empathy, understanding and sharing others' emotions. Interpersonal relationships, that is building and maintaining the strong connections. The social responsibility, acting ethically and contributing to society. Then we have the stress management, that is stress tolerance, managing stress and effectively in challenging situations. Impulse control, that is delaying immediate reactions and maintaining the composure. Adaptability, that is reality testing, accurately interpreting the situations and adjusting accordingly. Then we have the flexibility, that is adapting to the changing circumstances. The problem solving, generating effective solutions to the challenges. The general mood, that is optimism, happiness. Optimism is about maintaining a very positive outlook, and happiness is about feeling satisfied and emotional fulfilled. Now we'll take some illustrations of the emotional question in practice. Imagine an employee, Alex, who takes the EQI and the scores. He is high on stress management, low in interpersonal skills and the interpretations. Alex excels at managing the pressure and maintaining the composure during the stressful situations. Low in interpersonal skills, Alex struggles to build a strong relationship and empathize with the colleagues. The interpretation is that this profile suggests that while Alex is resilient in challenging environment, their ability to collaborate and connect with others is very, very limited. Targeted interventions such as empathy training, team building activities can help Alex develop these skills. Now coming on to the applications of self-report questionnaires. The first is your corporate and the workplace settings. That is the leadership development. Identifying emotional strength and weaknesses to prepare the emotions employees for the leadership roles. The team building, conflict resolution, and educational and counseling, that is student development. So let's discuss them one by one. The first is your team building, enhancing the team dynamics by understanding the individual emotional competencies. Conflict resolutions, helping the employees recognize the emotional triggers and improve the communication skills. Education and counseling, the first is your student development, identifying emotional skills that impact the academic performance and the relationships. Then we have the guidance counseling, designing personalized strategies to address the emotional challenges. The healthcare and the therapy, mental health interventions, assessing the emotional well-being to inform the therapy plans. Then we have the patient empowerment, encouraging the patients to reflect on their emotional strength. Then we have the personal development, that is individuals use these tools to gain the insights, information, their emotional abilities, set goals and monitor the progress over time. Now we'll coming on to the advantages of the self-report questionnaires. The first is, it is easy to administer, simple to distribute, complete, especially in the digital formats, cost effective, affordable compared to other psychometric assessment. It encourages the self-reflection, that is promotes the introspection and awareness of the emotional patterns. Customizable, that is it can be tailored to specific populations or the organizational needs. Versatile, that is applicable in diverse contexts from the workplaces to schools and to the therapy. Then we have the challenges and the limitations. Subjectivity, the participants may overestimate or underestimate their abilities due to the limited self-awareness. Then we have the social desirability biasness. The respondents may answer in the way that their behavior are socially acceptable rather than truthful. Now there are some cultural biases also, the state dependency and the lack of objectivity. When you talk about the cultural biases, the cultural norms can influence how individuals interpret, respond to the statements, making a cross-cultural comparisons very, very challenging. Then we have the state dependency. The emotional state during the assessment may skew the results. For example, stress, fatigue, and affecting responses. The lack of objectivity. Unlike the performance-based assessments, self-report tools rely on the perceived rather than actual abilities. Then we have the overcoming challenges. The triangulation of the methods, which combine the self-report tools with the performance-based or observer rate assessments for a comprehensive evaluation. Then we have the regular reassessment, that is conducting the periodic assessment to track the changes and minimize the biases caused by the temporary emotional states. Then we have the structured feedback, which provides the professional the guidance to help the participants interpret their results accurately. The cultural adaptation. Adapt the questionnaires to align with the cultural norms and reduces the biasness. So we can say that the self-report questionnaires are very powerful tools for assessing the emotional intelligence. They provide accessible, cost-effective insights into an individual emotional strengths and the weaknesses, making them indispensable in the various settings. While they have the limitations, strategic implementation, and again complemented by other assessment methods which can mitigate the biases and enhance the accuracy. So, by fostering the self-awareness and guiding the development, self-report tools contribute significantly to the personal growth, organizational success, and the societal well-being. Then we have the performance-based assessment. The performance-based assessments are advanced methods for evaluating the emotional intelligence by measuring how individuals demonstrate their emotional abilities through the task, simulations, scenario. Unlike the self-report questionnaires that rely on subjective perceptions, performance-based assessment focus on actual performance, providing objective insights into a person's ability to perceive, then understand the use and regulate the emotions in the real world or controlled settings. These assessments are rooted in scientific models of emotional intelligence like Mayer-Salovey's ability model, which emphasize the EI in a set of skills that can be objectively measured due to their accuracy and the real world relevances. The performance-based assessment are increasingly used in education, leadership, training, healthcare, counseling to identify the individuals with high emotional intelligence and also to guide the development programs. Now, there is a definition on this. The performance-based assessments are the tools which are designed to measure the actual emotional competencies by engaging the participants in tasks or scenarios that simulate the real life challenges. Now, these tasks they require the participant to demonstrate their skills in recognized emotions in others, using emotions to enhance the decision making and the problem solving, understanding the dynamics and relationship between the emotions, regulating the emotions to achieve the constructive outcomes. Now, this method moves beyond subjective self-perception, focusing more on instead on observed abilities and the real-time performance, offering a more objective and reliable evaluation of emotional intelligence. Now coming on to a very pertinent part, that is how performance-based assessment work. Performance-based assessment are structured to measure the emotional intelligence through a well-structured task that align with the established theoretical framework. The process typically includes the following components. The first is your task design. Now, the tasks are created to test the specific emotional intelligence competencies like identifying the emotions in facial expressions, managing interpersonal conflicts, and understanding the emotional scenarios. Execution of the task. The participants engage with the task in controlled environment or simulations where their responses can be observed and also evaluated. Now coming on to the scoring part. The responses are objectively scored based on predefined criteria, often benchmarked against the normative data or expert evaluations. Now, the interpretation is the scores are analyzed to provide the detailed insights into the participant's emotional ability across the multiple dimensions. Let's take an example here, the Mayer-Salovey Emotional Intelligence Test, that is MSCEIT. Now, this particular test is the gold standard for performance-based emotional intelligence assessment. It is based on Mayer-Salovey's 4-branch model of emotional intelligence, which conceptualizes the EI as a set of 4 skills. The first is perceiving emotions, that is, the participants view photographs of the faces, images, depicting the emotional scenario and identify the emotional displayed. Then the next is your example task. The participants are shown a photograph of a person with the tears in their eyes and the neutral mouth. They are asked to identify whether the emotion is sadness, relief or frustration. Then is your using emotions. The participants determine how specific emotions can enhance the cognitive task like creativity or problem solving. Then we have the example test. Which emotion would most likely help you brainstorm the ideas, happiness, anger or indifference? Now, the correct response might be happiness, as it fosters the creativity, understanding the emotions, that is, the participants analyze the emotional changes and relationship between the emotions in a hypothetical scenarios. Now, there is an example of a task. A person feels irritated after waiting in the traffic but later hears good news. What emotion are likely to feel now? The answer is relief or happiness. The participant evaluate the scenarios where the emotion needs to be regulated for the optimal outcomes and decide on the best course of action. The scenarios: you're a team leader and one of your team members is visibly upset during a meeting. What would you do is a question mark. Effective responses include acknowledging their feelings, offering support, redirecting the focus to the solutions. Now, let's take some illustrative examples. Imagine a healthcare professional, Sarah, undergoing a performance-based EI assessment. Sarah is shown as a series of photographs depicting the patient's facial expression and asked to identify the emotions like anxiety, pain and hopelessness. The outcome is that the Sarah accurately identifies 90% of the emotions, indicating a strong skill of perceiving emotions. Task 2. Sarah is presented with a scenario where she must communicate a patient's terminal diagnosis to their family. Her response is evaluated on her ability to manage her emotions, express empathy, and remain composed. Sarah demonstrates a high capability for managing the emotions. Now, these results reveal the Sarah's strength in perceiving and managing the emotions, critical for her role in the healthcare. Now, coming on to the applications of performance-based assessment. Performance-based assessment are versatile and applicable across the various sectors where emotional intelligence is essential. Now, some of the common applicants are the workplace and the leadership development. The scenario is that a manager is tested on their ability to resolve a conflict between the members. Now, MSCEIT or the custom design simulations, it identifies the leader who can regulate the emotion and fosters the collaboration, guiding the leadership training programs. The education is a scenario. A teacher is assessed on their ability to manage the classroom disruptions while maintaining also a very positive learning environment. So, the outcome is that The results will help design the training program for emotionally intelligent teaching practices. The healthcare. The scenario is that a nurse must handle a high pressure situation such as calming an anxious patient before the surgery. The outcome is that the performance based assessment evaluate how well the nurse perceives and manages the emotions to ensure the effective patient care. The recruitment and selection. The candidates for a customer service role participate in simulations where they must handle the difficult customers. It also identifies the candidate with the high emotional intelligence critical for the roles requiring the interpersonal skills. So, the next approach we are going to talk about is the counseling and the therapy. A counselor is tested on their ability to recognize, respond to the client emotions during the sessions. The results enhance their ability to build a rapport and support the client effectively. Now, there are some advantages of the performance based assessment. Out of this, the first is your objective measurement. Evaluate the real abilities rather than relying on self reported perceptions. It also reduces the biasness like overestimation, underestimation, or the self desirability and the social desirability. The task simulate the real life challenges, making the results applicable to the actual scenarios. Now, the comprehensive evaluation covers all the facets of emotional intelligence, including the perception, understanding the usage, and the management of emotions. So, the next is your predictive validity. It also strongly correlates with the success in role requiring emotional intelligence such as leadership, teaching and counseling. Now we will be talking on the challenges of the performance based assessment. Like the first is your time intensive. The task take longer to administer compared to self report questionnaires. Then we have the specialized training, that is, the assessors require expertise to design, administer, and interpret these assessment accurately. Then we have the cultural sensitivity, emotional expression, and the interpretations can vary significantly across the culture, requiring the culturally adapted task. Now, the cost is that these tasks often involve higher cost due to the need for the trained professionals and sophisticated scoring systems. Addressing the challenges, streamlining the process, use automated tools or AI driven platform to reduce the administration time and scoring complexity. The training assessor, it helps in developing the standardized training program to ensure the consistent and the accurate evaluation. The cultural adaptations, that is, design culturally relevant tasks and the benchmark to ensure the fairness and validity. Integration with the other tools. It also helps in combining the performance based assessment with the self report or 360-degree feedback for a holistic evaluation of emotional intelligence. So, we can say about the performance based assessment is that it is a gold standard for evaluating the emotional intelligence, offering an objective, comprehensive measurement of emotional competencies. Now, these tools, they provide invaluable insights into how the individuals apply emotional skills in the real world situations, making them very essential for the industries. Now, where emotional intelligence plays a very critical role, although they come with the challenges such as time and resource demands, their accuracy and predictive validity make them indispensable for the leadership development, healthcare, education, and beyond. When implemented effectively, these assessment tools, they foster the growth, enhance the performance, and contribute to the personal and the organizational success. So we have done as of now the two approaches. The one was the self-administered questionnaires, and the second is about the application performance-based assessments. So these two tools are very used commonly across the applications, across the scenarios, across the systems. So basically, it is about testing the standard questions when you talk about the self-reported questionnaires, and it is all about the management testing to resolve a conflict between a team member, and this is a customized design simulation technique which is commonly used, and of course the results, they help in designing a particular strategic intervention to take care of the gap as far as the performance is concerned. And the performance assessment also helps in evaluating how well the person performs and what is the gray area where the HR has to work, and accordingly the counseling and the therapy is given. So the results of this kind of counseling and therapy, they help in enhancing and building a rapport between the client very effectively, with the objective measurement, with the real life relevance, with the comprehensive evaluation, with predictive validity, and of course we will also conquering the challenges like the time, specialized training, culturally sensitive training, the cost effectiveness part, streamlining the process, and training the assessment part. All these things are very important to discuss. So these approaches, when you talk about specifically the performance based assessments, they are the best standard for evaluating the emotional intelligence, offering a very objective and also the comprehensive tool for the measurement of the emotional competences. Thank you very much.